I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse. So I know I can use the Pythagorean theorem because I've identified that this is a 90 here, this angle, and so it's a right angle and a right triangle. So that allows me to look for a hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the side across from the 90-degree angle. And so I can use the Pythagorean theorem then in order to find the side lengths. It doesn't matter all that much which one I identify as A versus B once we've identified where C is. There are a couple of things we do need to pay attention to. It's going to be critical because we're going to be squaring and adding. That's why it doesn't matter so much which side is A and B, because you're going to be multiplying and adding. So order becomes less critical. But what is critical is that you keep in mind the order of operations that tells us that we need to do that squaring work before we add. The other thing we'll need to pay attention to is what it means to square. Squaring means to multiply a number by itself, not multiply it by 2. We often get confused about that. So let's pay attention to those things as we go through our work. Let's start substituting. I noticed that the 4 is across from the angle A, so we're going to put that there. We're going to square it. Can't forget to square things. And I noticed that 3 is across from the B, and again, I'm going to square that. And the C is what we don't know. It's going to remain as a variable, and we still need to square it even though it's a variable. Here's where we need to start paying attention to the order of operations. We are not adding first. So I'm actually going to put it in the next line and keep it there to remind myself that first I need to do some squaring. So I'm going to square 4. When I square 4, I'm not doing 4 times 2. That's 8. 4 squared is 16. It's 4 times 4. When I get to 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. And this is still equal to C squared. I'm going to add these up, combining like terms. 16 plus 9 equals 25, and it's equal to C squared. We are in luck on this problem. 25 is what we call a perfect square, which means that it has factors. It has one factor that we use twice. We're going to multiply it times itself. So in fact, we can actually on this problem determine exactly what C is, because the way that you find C, and the way you find 25, is 5 times 5. So because you're finding 25 by 5 times 5, it means that C is equal to 5. You don't know yet how to do that with numbers that are not perfect squares. So for those, you might be able to find C squared but not C. But in this problem, because C squared is a perfect square, you can actually determine the exact length of the hypotenuse.